Hi everyone. Before I start today's podcast, I would like to extend a massive thank you to the entire town for bringing us through a very tough week last week. The support has been unbelievable, and I would just like to once again extend a massive thanks to everybody. And I'd like to dedicate this podcast to my nephew, John Chucky Dunn.
This podcast is brought to you by Midland Saxon Covers, Clara, County Offaly. We make custom covers for any requirement or project. Screen printing service is also available. Find us at midlandsaxoncovers.ie.
Broadcasting live from the little town of Clara, County Offaly, it's What's the Story with Lloyd Bracken. Get in touch today through all our social channels and have your say. Oh, and thanks for listening. Now it's over to you, Lloyd. What's the story?
Hi everyone, welcome back to What's the Story with myself, Lloyd Bracken. Believe it or not, but this is episode 11 this week. Hope you're all in great form out there, and thanks again for all the comments on the USA expat chat last week. I'll definitely do some more expat chats in a few weeks from different parts of the world, and a great response to that, which is brilliant. Thank you very much. This week we're back in the comfort of the Little Town studio here in Raheen, and my next guest in the hot seat is a man from Brendan Street in Clara, a half Kilkenny man, actor, comedian, lifeguard and an all-round great guy. It's a pleasure to introduce to you John Lowe. What's the story?
Thank you very much, Lloyd. I thought you were going to say it was your 13th episode. I was going to say it could be a bit...
Or should I say, what's the lowdown?
What's the lowdown, yeah. No, it's great to be here, Lloyd. It's great that you invite me here. And I must say, it's a pleasure and a great honour for you to have me here.
Right.
Just
Thanks, John. John, take us back. What's your earliest memories growing up in Clara?
Is there television cameras on this now, Lloyd?
Yeah.
Can people see me?
Yeah.
I want to wave a few people.
Now, can signing autographs outside.
Yeah. I have some photographs done, Lloyd. Can I sell them here, or would I have to...
Are they decent photographs?
Oh, they are. They're very respectable.
Grand.
So
Okay, that's all right.
Okay, let's get into the interview, Lloyd.
Your earliest memories, John, growing up in Clara?
Oh, God, I suppose going to school, Lloyd, you know. Believe it or not, I loved school. And my earliest recollections were the friends I had, the friends I made. I made a lot of friends when I was younger, like, you know, in the school. I got very much involved in drama. Well,
Right.
not so much in drama, but being up on the stage, because I think the first time I was up on the stage was in the boys' school. I was asked to present or MC a show. There was various different acts. There was a person playing an accordion, a person playing a tin whistle, like, you know, it was a school concert. And I was asked to do that. And I always remember the particular night that I was MCing this particular show, I had a good friend by the name of Billy Rigney. He'd be grandfather of Mary Flemings, Mary Rigney. I used to go down, I was serving Mass at the time, and I used to go down to the church and give him a hand out. He also worked in the library, he's the librarian, and what he was doing at the time, he was making a caravan for my sister Marion, and I used to go down and give him a hand. I know the night before the show was supposed to come on, my mum and dad invited him up to the house to have a chat and a cup of tea, and he brought up this large box. And Mammy said to me that Billy's coming up this evening now for a cup of tea before we go to the show, and he has a big box for you. I was delighted. I didn't know what was in this big box. So he came in anyhow and gave me the big box, and I opened it, and there was another box in it. And I opened the next box, and there was a third box in it, and a fourth box, and it came down to a very minute, small box. And when I opened it, it was a watch. And that was the first wristwatch I ever had. I still have the watch at home, so I have it in a little box.
Fantastic.
But it was amazing. And I remember going out on the stage that night to introduce the first act, and I intentionally pulled up my sleeve so that everyone, when I was holding the microphone, everyone could see the watch, you know. And it went to the stage that I was showing the watch and I was missing the microphone, that they couldn't hear what I was saying, like, you know. So that was one of the best, the good things about when I was going to school, like, you know.
Not many people know that where you're from is actually Brendan Street.
Yeah, well, actually, I weren't there all the time, like, you know, but I call it Brendan Street Estate. But originally we were up in High Tullamore, number 102 in High Tullamore. Yeah. And then we moved down in the middle of the factory, you could say. We lived across the road from the canteen. People said to me, how could you sleep in the mornings when the hooter went off, the big hooter?
Yeah.
It was right across the road from us. We got used to it, like, you know. It was like anything. We got used to the noise. We acclimatised ourselves to it, like, you know. But and then we moved up to where I'm now living, like, you know. My father was still working in the factory at the time.
Tell us about your parents, John, while you're on that subject.
My dad is the Clara man. He was born in the Terrace, I was. My mum, she came from Kilkenny, from John Street, 57 John Street in Kilkenny. And my dad was in the army. He happened to meet my mother through the army. That's how they got together, basically, like, you know.
But that Kilkenny connection explained the Kilkenny hats then that
Absolutely, yeah. I do get a little bit of slagging in the town from Dassoon Baggett and Catch Buckley and a few more, Racy Scully and a few more of them.
But you wear it proudly, John.
Oh yes, absolutely. Like, having said that, now there was one particular era in my life that there was 3 flags actually outside. I had a Kilkenny flag, I had a Dublin flag, and I had an Offaly flag. So to be sure, like, you weren't going to lose, like, you know. And Mick Ferry would be going down to Mass of a Sunday morning, and he'd be looking at the 3 flags, and he'd say to him, "Who are you supporting today?" "Whoever wins, Mick." That's it, as simple as that, Lloyd, you know.
And your father was a medic in the army, is that right?
That's correct, yeah. Yeah, Lloyd, he was a medic in the medical corps, so he was. Now, I don't know much about that, Lloyd, to be quite honest with you. I know he was down in some part of Waterford or Wexford as well, and he was in Kilkenny.
Tell us about Marion, John.
Yeah, Marion, my one and only sister. Marion was a great character. I think the acting was in her blood, like, you know, because Marion was involved in a lot of shows, a lot of drama, a lot of plays, and tops of the town as well. She's a bit mad like myself, so she was, like, you know. But she was a great character, and unfortunately she went too soon in life, you know. But she was a great character.
Where did you think you got this acting from, John?
I'll tell you a story. The first time I ever had a drink, Lloyd, was with my granddad. They call him Jack Lowe, was his name, but they call him the Monk Lowe. I don't know whether you've heard that or not, but he was born in the Terrace. But after school every day, my mother used to collect me. She'd bring me down to the Terrace. And one thing I used to love was rice pudding, and I used to get that every so often when I go down to the Terrace. But one particular day I went down after school with my mother. My mother said to me, "Yeah, John, you're to go into the room in there, your grandfather's lying down." Now, little did I know, I thought he was only having a rest or something because I was young at the time, but apparently he was sick. He said to me, "Sit down there, Gosson, on the side of the bed." So I sat down, and he was chatting to me for a few minutes. I always remember this now. I know I was quite young, but I do remember this. And he said to me, "Get down under the bed there now, Gosson, and pull out that brown bag." And I pulled out a brown bag, and there was a rattle in it anyhow. He said, "Open the bag." And I opened the bag, and there was 3 bottles of Guinness in the bag. And I took out one and I handed it to him. And he took the top off it. And he said to me, "Take a swig out of that now, Gosson." And I took a swig.
What age were you then, John?
I think it was about 6 or 7, Lloyd. Now I think that like I was in the room on my own with my father, like, you know, or my grandfather, and I took a swig out of this, and it tasted terrible. I always remember that as well. But my grandfather said to me, "Now, if you're a loyal, drink them. You'll drink plenty of them." And he wasn't wrong, you know. But like, no, I took a good few swigs over it.
Did you started late, John? Did you 6?
I did 6, yeah. Yeah, my grandfather was a great character, so he was.
Would he have that comedic side to him?
Yeah, apparently he did. Like, you know, now I didn't know him that well for that long, like, you know, but apparently it was in him. So it was. So I reckon that's where it came from. You know what I mean?
Tell us about your school life. We have leaving cert results day today. What many points would you have got?
I would have got no points in the leaving cert because I didn't do it, like.
Right.
You know, I done the inter-cert at the time. I done that, so I did. I done fairly well. So I was happy enough. I tell you what I done well at, Lloyd, Irish. I always liked Irish. I always had a graw for Irish. I didn't want to be in school. I had enough of school at this stage.
Why was that, John?
I just had enough of it, Lloyd. I felt that I was doing nothing, like, you know. There was a lot of my friends who were actually out of school and they were working. There was some of them working in good bodies, actually, you know. I said to myself, I want to be out there. And I told my mother and father at the time that I wasn't happy and I didn't like school. One day I came home from school and my dad said to me, he brought me into Tullamore and he got me a job in Tullamore. And the first job I had in Tullamore Motorworks. He was a good friend of the owner of Tullamore Motorworks at the time. Ken Roberts was the man's name. And I was serving my time in a diesel workshop, diesel mechanic and auto electrics.
Right.
So I stuck at that for about 2 years. What was happening, Lloyd, is that I don't know whether the work wasn't agreeing with me or the diesel wasn't agreeing with me, but I didn't like it either.
You weren't drinking the diesel, John.
No, I wasn't gone that bad at that stage, like, you know. I didn't like it either.
Do you think that was a ploy from your father to make you think that maybe school would have been a better option?
I probably do. In latter years now, I probably did think that, like, you know, because I had to realise that I had to go and do something because you're finished in school now. Like, you had it cushy enough in school when you think about it, like, you know, everything was handed to you. But now you're out working and you have to be giving something back to your mum and dad at the end of the day, like, you know, at the end of the week. I didn't like that, and I left that and I got a job down at Loan,
right,
as a storeman down at Loan.
Was there ever any pressure to go into the army like your father?
Oh, Jesus, no, they wouldn't accept me in the army. Oh,
No.
Jesus, no way, no way. less Dad's Army or something like that, but definitely not the normal army. No. I always had ambitions, Lloyd. I loved swimming. The pond was at the back of our house. It was handy, and it was a lovely spot for swimming, like, it was a great spot. I learned most of my swimming there. My Ger Bracken, there was a few more of the guys. Ger Bracken, I think he done most of the training for me, pushed me in a few times, and sink or swim, you know what I mean. It was a great thing then when that there was going to be a swimming pool in Clara, like, it was unheard of, like,
Massive.
But it was a great, I went down to the pool a few times, and I was fascinated because I had never been in a swimming pool before, up to the time that the pool came to Clara, like, I spent a lot of time down there in and out, and I got to know the manager there. Des McCreary was his name. Now, your mother would know very well, because your mother was one that was instrumental, one of the members that was instrumental. And I suppose I should, if Kathleen, I'm sure Kathleen will be listening to this, the pink bikini Kathleen. And
Don't tell me too much about
No, I
the
won't. I know, but she knows what I'm talking about. But I got to know this man, Des McCreary. He was from England, and at the time when the pool was opened initially, he was living in a caravan outside the pool, and I got to know him very well. And there was a few more members on the committee that I knew: Jimmy Roach, Benny, all the rest of them. There was the Sergeant Halloran, he was there as well. Michael Henry White he was the chairman at the time. I remember one particular day going down to town, and this car pulled up, and this guy rolled down the window and he said to me, "John, are you interested in a bit of work?" And it was Benny Roach, Jimmy Roach. And I said to him, "Yeah, what kind of work is it?" And I went in anyhow, and he brought me into the office, and he said to me, "What I want you to do is to take in the clothes." And I was thrilled with this.
Brilliant.
I got to know Des very well, and he started training me in lifesaving and different techniques. But I started doing training and done all my different grades and things like that.
Was it easy to you, John? Did it come easy to you?
It did, because I wasn't too bad at the swimming, like, and I got doing part-time work in the pool, help out at a swimming class maybe. The senior lifeguard that was there at that particular time was a guy by the name of Pat McLaughlin, and I worked with him a good bit of time, and again, like Des, he gave me a hand out with my life-saving skills and things like that. Pat decided to leave. I was offered the job as lifeguard, and I took the job. I was thrilled.
Was that a big thing for you, John?
Oh, absolutely, because I would be the first lifeguard from Clara that worked in the pool.
Went from taking in the bags.
Taking in the baskets or the bags at
sometimes handing back out the wrong ones.
Oh, absolutely, maybe
if you didn't remember your number. John, you taught a lot of people how to swim in
Absolutely, Clara. Yeah. Fierce law classes and things like that.
You worked with special needs kids then back a long time ago.
Yeah, the special needs were really special, and I mean that from the heart, my heart. It was great working with them, and the joy and the satisfaction that I got of even just floating with two floats or two armbands on them. And they looked forward, their PAs and their assistants always said that they looked forward to that day. That's the one day of the week, the 1 hour in the week that they would look forward to,
right.
Yeah,
into the water.
And you got personal satisfaction yourself as well.
Absolutely, yeah. John, forgive me for this. A lot of people have said that they couldn't swim after you taught them. Because they were too busy laughing at the jokes.
Yeah. I didn't make the swimming serious. I meant it serious from the point of view of safety, that you had to be safe. But look, you go to a class, you're not going to stand over and start baiting them with a cane or something like that. Swim across to the far side of the pool there, keep your head down. We had a banter, we had a crack, I think it makes learning easier.
How important is it for kids nowadays, John, to learn how to swim?
I think it's very important, because everyone should know how to swim. I always maintained it should have been compulsory in the school. Now, it was getting to the stage at one particular time, hopeful that it was going to be kind of a subject or part of the curriculum on the school thing, You
also had some international visitors down in the pool at one stage, John, didn't you?
Jeez, that's gone back a while now.
Tell us about that.
Oh, don't mind me laughing. I know the end of this story. I think it was Declan Cushions. One particular Sunday, he got in touch with me and he said to me, "John, would there be any chance of you doing from 4 to 6 this evening? I want to get away early." I said, "Yeah, no problem, Declan. I'll do it from 4 to 6 because there'll be no one here because there was too much activity going on around the town, So I came down around, 3:30, 4:45, and brought the paper with me and arrived in. Now, there was a lady working in the office, a wonderful, wonderful lady, Mrs. Flanagan. She used to do the tickets and take in the baskets and things like that. So I said to Mrs. Flanagan, "We won't be busy here." So I brought down my newspaper and I was sitting there for about 20 minutes. No sign of anyone. Then all of a sudden, there was a bang on the window of the reception. And I looked up and Mrs. Flanagan gave me the 2 fingers. Now, I don't mean it in the incorrect way. She gave me the 2 fingers and said there was 2 people after coming in. So I went up to her anyhow, say, what's the story, Mrs. Blah? But she said, there's 2 women after going, sure, it'll kill the hour for us anyhow. And I went back down and was sitting down. I left down the newspaper because it wouldn't look good me reading the newspaper and 2 customers coming in to have a swim. All of a sudden then there was another ferocious bang on the window of the reception. And I looked up and she called me up, she was flagging me up. And I looked out and the row had bottom of the end of the shallow end. And the only difference I noticed was that they were naked. So,
No.
Mrs. Flanagan said, what are you going to do, John? What are you going to do? Well, Mrs. Flanagan, I'm going to carry out my duties as a lifeguard. I'm going to sit down, supervise them, and watch them, and make sure they don't get into trouble. And I sat there for an hour and a half. It was the quickest hour and a half Lloyd had ever went, so it was, you know.
I hope no one else came into the pool.
No, I wouldn't allow anyone else in, I don't think. No, going back to Mrs. Flanagan was a lady. She was like a mammy to me down there, like, you know. And there was another woman then across the road. She used to bring me over a mug of tea and brown bread, alien fallen in the terrace. So there's things like that you do remember. I remember one particular Sunday morning. This particular morning I was after being at 10 o'clock mass and I had a lovely blue suit on me. This particular morning anyhow, when I came in, I had the pool open. I had 2 or 3 people in and this gentleman came in and I knew his face but I didn't know who the man was. Now I'm not going to mention the man's name. Lord be good to him, he's dead and gone now. But I said to him, the shallow end's up to this side. I just gave him direction. You're all right, Gus, I was swimming before you were born. That's fair enough, thank you very much. But I was still in my suit, you know, and
Right.
The phone rang, and I was on the phone, and then there was a bang in the door. John, there's someone drowning in the deep end. I'll be out now in a second. Now, I thought this child was only messing with me, Lloyd, so, but down the phone anyhow. I went out anyhow. Here was this fella, arms all over the place. He was after jumping off the board into the deep end, and I had to go straight in with the suit. I hadn't even my shoes off or anything like that.
Fair play to you,
He was grand. He was fine. The only thing that happened to my suit was when it dried out, it was a mile too short for me, and I'm not too big, like, you know. So it looked like the leprechauns with Foster and Allen or something like that, you know.
Fascinating insight there, John, to your life-saving career. To move on, John, where do we start with your acting career?
Well, I suppose, like, as I said there earlier to you, doing MC or master ceremonies for the concert was the first thing I done, like, you know. But the first play I was in the boys' school, and I think it was Brother Charles that was our producer. I'm not sure now, I could be wrong, I'm not sure. But it was a play called Love and Acid Drops. Now, I was speaking to a guy this morning, a friend of mine this morning, Mickey Rickard. Mickey was a great character as well. Of course, Mickey was famous for playing the part of the Artful Dodger in Oliver, like, you know. The first play was Love and Acid Drops, and I got a brilliant part of being a solicitor. All I had was, I was on the stage for about, I'd say the guts of 15 seconds, and that was me finished.
That was your debut?
Yeah, I always remember the lines that I got. I walked out, I had a briefcase, I had a suit on me, and I stand and say, I am Augustus Joblet, of Joblet and Joblet Solicitors. I believe there's a girl here by the name of Ivy Green. And your man buggered up. She's not here now at the moment. Well, when she returns, will you ask me to call to her my office, as I have an urgent message for her. Good day. And that was it. And I got a round of applause for it.
Brilliant.
And I was delighted. And I knew I had talent then.
Was that the bug, John?
That was the bug. I don't know. But that was the first one. That was the first play I done, yeah. And
John, how can you remember them lines now from...
I don't...
And you can't remember other lines?
No, what, are you trying to insinuate something like... No, we'll get into the nitty-gritty. Okay. No, it was something that's... I think I trained for that. And my mother and father had me doing it, walking up and down in the room, in the kitchen, like, you know... Go out that door, Daddy, had said to me, and come in again now, and walk in straight this time, and do it again. Oh, yeah. You know, and put your chest out. You know, he thought I was going for an army job or something like that. Like, you know, yeah, I did repeat a good few. I don't know. That's how it.
Nice guidance from your parents, wasn't it, helping you out?
Yeah, it was. I think I hope they were any proud of me. Like, you know, doing that. Like, you know, your son was a star. You know, even if it was only a 15-second appearance. Like, you know,
a lot of people seen you acting on stage, but you also sang a few songs, didn't you? Down through the years in different plays. And My Fair Lady, you sang.
Who gave you all this information?
No, John, I can't be giving away my detail.
Actually, I don't know how I got roped into My Fair Lady, but I did get roped into it anyhow. And I played a character by the name of Alfred P. Doolittle. Now, Alfred P. Doolittle was a good part. And I had a 2 men song. You have Richie said, it was Richie actually. Richie said you have to sing 2 songs. I'm getting married in the morning, and with a little bit of luck. I say, Richie, are you for real? Me sing? No, you'll be trained. You'll be trained. Alan Rex will be there. Eleanor White was our musical director. So Ravina brought me down this particular night. We were after going through scenes and acts and movements and things like that, and my dialogue. So now it came to the singing part. Ravina said, if you go into the tea room, this was the boys' school, Eleanor's there and she'll go through the lyrics for you. So we went through that. Now she said, come on out to the piano and we'll put the music. I'll give you a nod when to come in, and you come in. No problem, Eleanor. Whenever you tell me to come in, I'll come in. And she gave me a key and I'm getting married in the morning. John, can we stop there now for a second? Can you vary that tone a little bit? How do you mean, Eleanor? Can you go up? Can you start a little bit more energetic and varied rather than just staying on the one level? I hadn't a clue what she was talking about, Lloyd. I hadn't a bloody clue what she was talking about.
Did you ever learn since then?
No. I'll tell you what happened. Eleanor went to Ravina and she said to her, I'm sorry, I'm giving up on John, I'm afraid. I can't get anything out of him musically, methodically. And Alan gave up on me as well. And so, okay, I knew the lines, I knew the lyrics off and everything like that. So
sounded grand to me there, John.
Did it?
I would have given you the part.
Would you? Well, I got the part anyhow.
Oh, right, okay.
But Alan said, the best thing we can do now, this was a couple of nights before we went on, rather than you following the music, following us, we'll follow you. And there was a few more characters in it. One particular person that was in it was Kevin Follen. Now, Kevin Follen, anyone that knew Kevin was a character himself, like, you know.
Yeah.
He used to call me Stitch, Stitch Lowe, you know. He said to me, well, Stitch, we were doing the final rehearsal the night before the show, and Jesus, Kevin, I don't know whether I'm going to be able to do this singing or not. Don't worry, we'll sort it out tomorrow night, you'll be grand. And that particular night when we came down for our first show, we were in the tea room and getting our makeup and everything like that. And Kevin called me, Stitch, come out here with me for a second. So we went out to the yard. And he took out this bottle. Now there's one of these glass mineral bottles, lemonade bottles. Take a swig out of that. I took a swig out and I took another swig out. But now, like, I went out on the stage and I could conduct the orchestra if I wanted to, like, you know. You know, so we're all okay, but we're grand, like, you know. But I discovered afterwards that this bottle that Kevin gave me was actually something that he used for rubbing on greyhounds before a race or something. Now, I don't know what kind of a concoction. Anyone that had been into greyhounds now would probably know what was drinking. I hadn't a drink.
So you ran out the stage.
I ran out on the stage, and I don't think I wanted to get off the stage. I wanted to stay on, like, you know. But, like, it was characters like that. Hubert Hackett was in it as well. Johnny Dwyer was in it. Margaret Fleming, Lord be good for recently deceased. And Angela Sheridan was in it as well. Great crew, like, you know. And it was brilliant. It was brilliant.
Yeah. Going to take a little message from one of your acting friends. We'll see if you can figure out who it is.
Thanks, Lloyd, for giving me the chance to say something about John. John Lowe is a legend of the Clara stage. He has great stage presence and is one of those very naturally talented people who can just walk on stage and have the audience in the palm of their hand. Great comic timing, and he knows how to use it to great effect. I first tread the boards with John back in 1991, my first time on stage. He played a priest in that Clara production in the old parochial hall. We went on then to do a few sketches for the Tops of the Towns. I had the great honour and privilege of sharing the stage with the great comic duo of John Lowe and Richie Rex. These two guys had a very special magic between them. How should I say this? Memorising dialogue was challenging for them, but they made up for that through fluent improvisation. When sharing the stage with these two, you had to be on the ball. You never knew when one of them was going to have a new idea and just drop it in. They were so in tune, they could just go with the flow. Improv at its best, but terrifying and exhilarating at the same time. Non-dialogue is what makes comic moments great, and these guys were masters at it. A pause, a glance, the facial expression would have the audience in roars of laughter. I had some great memorable moments. Cut out the middleman, the guard, Murphy. That was a sketch where we were doing for Tops when I was a guard and John was a priest. We were trying to talk a guy, Richie, out of a building. I had a loud hailer and I would hand it to John to shout through. He was meant to talk through the wrong end, and I would say, no, the other way. He'd look at it, turn it around and carry on. But one night, when I look back, he had decided to turn himself around and face into the wings. The audience were in roars of laughter, and I was literally biting me tongue to keep a straight face. It was so spontaneously funny. I thought I was going to lose it. It may not sound funny now, but it was the way it was performed. John naturally knew how to time it, add the expressions to make it work. Just showing a great depth of understanding of the piece and how to feed off the audience. Best of luck, John. Hope you have a lovely chat there with Lloyd this evening.
That's the brilliant Aidan Daigan, or Dugsy, as everyone knows him.
Dugsy.
Another great actor himself.
Absolutely brilliant. And it's not to bring him back. Thanks, Dugsy, for all the lovely comments. And absolutely brilliant producer himself. That's going back to Cork. That was a simple sketch, so it was. It's very simple. Dugsy was out on the stage first, and he was kneeling in the middle of the stage with a loud hearer and a Garda.
I remember it well.
Yes, of course you do, yeah. It was so simple, we used the bar here, have a break, have a Kit Kat,
Was it the simple things that made it?
Absolutely. There again, I must compliment Dugsy as well, because Dugsy's after doing these the nativity plays in the green field for the last few years, and they are so brilliant,
very professional.
and very emotional, because people were very respectful.
You really get into it, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely. I was doing the part of a soldier. Someone said to me, "What are they putting you in? A gangster or what?" No, I'm a soldier. So, oh Lord, people commented on it, how so respectful it was, how so respectful the people that were doing the characterizations.
Would you like to hear from another actor friend of yours?
Yeah, I don't mind. Thank you.
Long ago, up to the girls' school I had to go to join in the rehearsals with the great John Lowe. Hi to John, my thespian friend. My earliest memory on stage with John was doing a sketch in Tops of the Town. There were 4 characters: John, Richie Rex, Frank Nicholson and myself. Rehearsals had gone okay, but we were quite confident we would excel for our first performance the following week. But what John and Richie didn't know was that Frank had said to me in a quiet corner in the hall, "Jackie, I'm going to learn Richie's lines also, just in case he forgets some of his dialogue." So I got the feeling from Frank that I should learn John's lines, and I agreed to do the same then with John. So the night of the performance came, and all was going well, and lo and behold, here I am looking at John and waiting for my cue. And he says absolutely nothing. I knew then that he had forgotten his lines. And he just turned around and looked out at the audience, and of course with his excellent facial expressions had them all laughing. But this gave me time to think, and I ended up giving him his cue to give me my cue, so I could give the said cue to Richie and Frank. I've always enjoyed the stage with John, and as I said, his facial expressions was excellent. And his timing was always superb. Hopefully, in the future, we can return to drama and once again perform with the theatrical John Lowe.
Nice words there, John, from Jackie Kennedy Gordy.
Jackie, you needn't bother. I won't be calling to the stall on Friday to get me doing my lotto. I'll get a ton of more lotto or something. Jackie's brilliant. Jackie, I love. There's only 3 people that I could act with and not be worried about that they wouldn't be able to come back to me. Richie was one. Jackie was the second person. And the third person was Claire Flattery.
Do you miss it, John? Do you miss this?
I do, yeah. Like the last performance we done now, or the last gig, is that what you call it? Yeah, the last gig I done now was, 2 years ago, and it was absolutely brilliant. Clara ladies football. We're going to do the Eurovision in the Court Hotel. Valerie Rooney was in charge of it, so she was, and Sandra Rock. We're going to do Father Ted. So we decided to make it into a scene, a Father Ted scene. Okay, so we had Eamon as Father Jack. And we brought him in a wheelchair. Father Connor was on first, looking around for me for Dougal. He was doing Father Ted, and I was Dougal. But he was looking for Dougal before he could sing this song, and he couldn't find him. And he went off stage, and all of a sudden the music for Father Ted comes up, and in the middle of the hall then Eamon starts roaring out, "Drink, drink, drink." And people didn't know what was going on, and he pulled at people going up through the middle of the aisle, like, you know, until we got up onto the stage. But we created a story, so we did, and it went down a bomb, like, you know, and that was a great night, a great night.
That was
you know.
good fun.
It was great fun, like, you know, and Father Conor was so committed to that, to doing that. We'd done a lot of rehearsals. Father Conor was so committed to that particular morning, or that particular day, Lloyd, he had to go up to Dublin to a funeral. A friend of his had died, and he was going up to the funeral. He wasn't officiating that or anything, just as a friend. To rush back from Dublin, and he got back around 5:15. I thought Barry Flynn was going to swing for us, like, you know. He was anxious to get it finished up as well, like, you know. And there's another thing now that you mentioned Barry Flynn.
Right.
I started him off when I think about it.
There you go, now, Barry.
You know,
You heard it here first.
yeah. Anything that he knows now, I told him, like, you know, because do you remember the Queen of the Heather Festival?
I do very well.
Yes, the Queen of the Heather
Tracy
Festival.
Scully was
That's right.
instrumental in that.
Yes, absolutely. But the Queen of the Heather Festival, when that started, we had Clara Community Radio at the back of Rex's. Derek or Alan or someone who set it up, and there was 3 DJs. There was myself, Barry Flynn, and I think it was an old Portakabin.
It wasn't Barry Flynn.
Yeah. You're listening to J-Lo on the J-Lo show. But, yeah. And look where I am, and look where Barry is.
The world is badly divided.
Oh,
now, isn't
absolutely,
it?
absolutely,
John,
absolutely.
tell us about Foster and Alan in the Mill House. You told me that years ago, a story.
Yeah, that's a lovely story, Lloyd. Yeah, I'm glad you brought me back to that now, because I actually, before that, I knew Mick Foster. I had taught Mick Foster, I had tried to teach him how to swim. I got to know him down in Mullingar. I was working in Mullingar at the time. I knew his wife Sheila at the time. They had brought out a new single called A Bunch of Time. They were performing down in the Mill House, and now my mother loved Foster and Alan. I would have loved to bring her down to it, but I'm afraid she wasn't able to go down to it. But I went down to it anyhow. I met Mick at the interval. I went inside and I went in anyhow and said, "How are you, Mick?" "Oh, Jesus, young Lowe, how are you keeping? How was the goal?" "Jesus, sir, I forgot you were Clara, man." "That's right, yeah." And so I was chatting to him for a while, and I was explaining to him about my mum, like that but she'd love to come down. And he said to me, "Do you live far away?" "No, so I knew about a mile up the road." He said, "You go on home and see if your mother's still up, and we'll be up. We'll find our way up there. I'll get one of the young lads to come up, or one of the boys to come up with me." I went home, and 11 or something like that, and I didn't say anything to Mum. Say, "There's someone come to see you," and knock on the door. And Foster, the boys still were in their leprechaun outfit.
That was a huge treat for your mum.
Oh, she was thrilled. She was thrilled, like, you know, and she couldn't get over it, like, you know. And the boys stayed for about 20 minutes, you know. And Mick brought in Tom brought in the guitar with him.
Fantastic.
And started singing a bit of the song, like, you know. I didn't
That's
her,
a
like,
lovely story, John.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
John, you also did some shows in the Mill House, the mime shows.
Oh, yeah. Geez, they were great, like. Now, you probably don't, you're probably a bit too young to remember them, but, like, it was Bob, I think, Martin Devine and Joe Keys and Tom Devine was in it, myself. But there were mime shows, and we done different characters, like, you know. We done the Fury Brothers. It's like the modern day Lipstick now, you know. But we're just miming it, like, you know. We didn't even know there were Matt Fleming was in it. Big Matt, he was in it playing a guitar, and there was no strings on the guitar, so there wasn't, like, you know. We used to cram the place in. Cram it every Monday night. Now, Danny will tell you about that, you know. It was amazing. So it's such a simple thing, like. People loved it. People really, really loved it.
Was there other shows then in Michael Egan's as well?
Well, Top's done it. We done a few shows up there. I'm going to take a drink of water, like.
That's all right, John. It's only water.
Do you want to sing a song or anything there? But we done a few. I remember one particular show we done. I don't know whether you ever heard the term, and Tony Fagan now could relate to this, or Scutchy Rickard. It's in the box. Myself and Richie, I was a puppet in a box, and Richie was a ventriloquist. Get you out of the box, and that's how the box. But we had a good few shows up in Michael Egan's, all right, like, you know, and it was again, that was grand because you had the facilities there as well. You had the hall, you had the bar, all that kind of thing, you know, and you were supporting the local businesses as well.
John, did you have any rituals before you went on stage or anything?
I tell you what I used to do, and a lot of people would not. Yeah, I'd have a couple of pints.
Not them rituals.
No, actually, I'll tell you what I used to do. And well, Richie probably knows it more so than Ravina, because Ravina be getting everyone organised before we go on, like, you know. But about 5-10 minutes before I go on, I always have to do it. Even the night now we were doing the show in Tullamore, I said to Father Conor, that I'm going out for a few minutes. You're going out for a half one now, he said to me. No, sir, I'm not going out for a half one. I pace up and down for about 5 minutes. I don't know why it is. It gives me some kind of relaxation or something like that, or
Just to get ready.
out. Yeah, no, I wouldn't be nervous going out, like, because. But it's some kind of an exercise to keep you relaxed or something like that.
And you're in a few films as well.
Now the first one I was in was with Declan
Tell
Rex.
us about the ones we can talk about.
All right, okay. The first one I was in was with Declan Rex, and we met it over in the mill. I don't know, I've never seen it in years. I haven't seen it in years. It was Declan produced it. Now, Vinnie Flanagan was in it, myself. There was a guy that went on to RTE. He was a presenter on RTE. I think he's Brian Redden was his name. Now, Declan Rex will be able to tell you more about that. We'd done it in the mill house. And I always remember what it was I was running in the railway line towards the mill house, and someone shoots me, and I get wounded and I get badly shot, and I'm pictured in a wall bleeding, and then it reverts down to Rex's workshop down at the back. There's a scene there with a mirror and there's an image of me. Now, don't ask me the storyline because I don't. That was the first one.
You got killed off fairly quick, John.
I did, yeah. People said it was a good idea, so I was like, but yeah, that was my first experience of a film, like, But there a couple of years ago, well, I'd say about 8-10 years ago, there was a guy I got to know down in the resource centre. He came and done a few workshops. Drama workshops with his. Michael Bowler was his name. He phoned me one day and he said to me, John, I have a script. He said, this is for a film. The name of the film was It Hungers. Now, it took us about 6 months to make. We filmed in Kennedy Castle, in the grounds of Kennedy Castle. We were up the Slieve Bloom Mountains. We were out the outskirts of Tullamore and Clara. We got the film made after about 6 months, Lloyd, and we put into a Galway Film Festival. I think we came third or fourth out of what, I think there was about 10 or 12 films in it. So it was a bit of recognition anyhow, you know what I mean? But I remember one particular night, one of the cast members, we were doing a night scene, and we had to cross this wooden bridge. Now, it was a gory film, and the scene, most of the scenes I was playing, I had blood on some part of my body, or I was covered in blood in some other parts. This particular night, one of the guys had to go across this bridge over to, and we were going through the scene anyhow, and the next minute he disappeared halfway across the bridge. One of the boards had collapsed and he fell into the drain. This was around 2 o'clock in the morning, so we got down to the bottom of the drain, and he was badly messed up, so he couldn't move or anything. So we had to cancel filming and get him back to Tullamore. So Michael Bowler drove his car, and it was myself and another guy and the injured party in the back, because we were supporting as much as we could until we got him to the hospital. So we got him to the emergency. We brought him in, and this nurse came out and she said, "Oh my God." So myself and this other guy were holding your man that was injured. And of course, I forgot that we were all blood as well. So another nurse came out and took the injured guy, the centre guy, because the scene was holding him up. And then she said to me, "You go over there and sit down." And they all thought that we were all injured as well.
Right. Yeah. I could see how they made that mistake.
But I had Michael Bowler came in then, the producer, came in himself, and he explained to the nurse that there's 2 guys there, there's nothing wrong with them. Right. They're all blood. No, we're making a film. But the guy that is bad, really bad, But I remember going home that morning to my wife and I forgot about the blood still on me, And this is around 7:30 in the morning. My wife's still in bed, and I just went into the room and said, "I'm home, Mary," and I forgot to take off the blood. And she nearly had a stroke in the bed. See, what happened? "Oh, my poor John." No, she didn't say that.
John, would you like to have been a full-time actor?
I think I got the opportunity. I was with Brother Charles, Mickey Rickard, myself. We done a film, or I beg your pardon, we done a play called Wigs on the Green. It was a Midland Drama Festival, and we got to the final the Midland Drama Festival. We were down in Forban. We won it. We won the overall award. I'm not blowing me trumpet, but I won Best Actor award as well.
Fantastic.
The adjudicator, I vaguely remember it, like, the adjudicator on that night was involved with the Abbey School of Acting. Brother Charles called me and said, "This lady wants to have a word with." Now, he introduced me to her and all that, and she said to me, "Look, there is an opening for you if you wish. There is a course for about a year. It involves staying in Dublin, the Abbey School of Acting. Right. Would you be interested?" I'd have to talk to my parents and all that and all the rest. I wasn't really interested, like, to be quite honest.
Different time of your life.
It's not that. I liked acting, but I wasn't going to take it that serious. Right. I didn't want to go into a professional thing to say, "Well, look, I'm going to make my living now. I have to go up and act the town on stage." It
was a fun thing for you.
It was a fun. I enjoyed it, like,
I think you would have made a great Liam Neeson, John.
Liam Neeson?
Yeah, I think so, John. Remember that movie Taken, when he takes that famous call. Ever hear that, John?
I did, yeah.
I can hear John Lowe saying that over the phone, you know. Actually, I think I have the audition script here, John. I'm going to put you on the spot. All right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's John Lowe from the film Taken. Your audition for Taken, John. Are you ready?
I don't know what you want. If you're looking for ransom, I can tell you I don't have any money. But what I do have are a very rare particular set of skills. Skills I have acquired over a very long career. Skills that make a nightmare for people like you. If you let my daughter go now, that will be the end of it. I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you. Get out of that garden, will you? Oh, gee, that sounded like send up the crane slamming and Ray Cronin with a couple of jars.
Brilliant, John.
Liam Neeson,
Brilliant.
how do you...
Classic, John. Brilliant. Do you know what, John? I made you a little trailer, a movie trailer. And I think a guy like you deserves...
A trailer to go where?
A movie trailer.
Where is it?
Well, yeah, you put your movies in it and you bring them to the dump.
All right.
Have a listen to this, John. Okay.
There's only one man that can save the world. One man with one desire. It's John Lowe. He doesn't know where you are, and he won't find you, but he'll do his best. Detective John Lowe in cinemas now.
That was your movie trailer now. What do you think of that?
I don't know what to say to
No,
you.
you have your own movie trailer, John. There's not too many has that.
I could be arrested after leaving this studio here to see it.
John, we did. We chatted a lot about the tops of the town with Rafina a few weeks ago. You know. So briefly, I suppose, tell us your relationship with Richie. That was special, very special. The comic timing, the body language he had, everything. Tell us a little bit about Richie and your.
Yeah, you'd imagine that people often said to me, "You must have done a lot of training together. You know, you're so natural." But we didn't. You know, I mean, we just happened to meet together. Most of the training I done with Richie, we done as like Richie had said to me, look, we leave that out of the script and say, what about Ravina? Don't worry about Ravina, I'll handle Ravina. We'd go by the script when we were doing rehearsals and to keep Ravina happy. But as soon as we go out on the stage, especially if there's just the two of us together, we change them around, like, you know.
Rogues.
Yeah, absolutely. If we were doing a top show and we had a lot of sketches to do, rather than doing them down in the hall, like, we decided, Richie said, look, can we do them down in the... Richie had a workshop down at the back of the shop, as you know. So I thought it was a good idea and we decided to do that. But, like, it worked for us. I don't know, I got on very well with Richie, you know. He's a great character, like, you know. We often done a fierce lot of looking at one another for some of the scripts. But, like, no, we never worried about messing ourselves up or anything or missing our cue.
We had it covered.
We had it covered, like, you know.
Well, take us back here. We'll have a little listen to yourself and Richie in action.
Thank goodness we can relax for a half an hour. Yeah, I dreamt about you last night.
Did you? Well, did you?
No, you wouldn't let me.
I don't look 35, do I?
Not anymore, you don't.
The angel Gabriel told me I had the face of a 16-year-old.
Well, you ought to give it back. You're getting it all wrinkled.
Morning, Liz.
Is the bus gone, Maggie?
No, not yet.
Oh, thanks be to God, I thought I was late for it. I'm on my way to the clinic.
Oh.
Listen, I can only tell you this once. My Pete suffers from alcoholic constipation.
Alcoholic constipation?
Yeah, he can't pass a pub.
I thought you could get a pill for constipation.
No use. The doctor prescribed them for me once. I want you to insert one a day in the rectum, to see.
In the what?
The back passage, he explained.
Oh.
Well, I tried inserting one of those pills in the back passage. No good. So I tried it in the kitchen. And even on the veranda. Now, for all the bloody good it did, I might as well have stuck them up.
Some nice little bits there, John.
yeah, that was brilliant. And Dougsy again.
We have a little message here from Rafina. Lloyd, what do you say about John Lowe? John was a pleasure to work with, always turning up for rehearsals. Between himself and Richie Rex, there'll be lots of laughs. and I'm sure there were more lines added by the time a rehearsal was over. He loved the stage and his comic timing was excellent. We should see more of him. Stay safe, John, and keep on laughing. That's from Ravina.
Great stuff, Ravina. Yeah, I was speaking to Ravina there last on that from last. Yeah, great. She had great talent. She was gifted lady. I always maintain that, like, you know, she could get the best out of anyone, like, you know, and she could see quality or she could see talent, like, you know. What she seen in me, I haven't a clue, but...
John, the homecoming, I remember being at the homecoming, but I think you were very late getting home, right?
We were, because, Jesus, we stopped in a fierce lot of places, like, I think we put on the show 2 or 3 times on the way home from Cork, like, you know. I know we stopped in Durrow. We had a few minerals. We got on the bus again and we stopped in Abbey Leaks. Piano there and Tommy's gone and the gang out. Sure, and people recognise us. Oh, we seen you the night before, like, you know. When we got back to Clara, my God, you'd swear we were after winning it. You know, the band was out, the Harp and Shamrock band was out. It was a lovely evening, and the reception we got was unreal, like, you know. It perked us up and made us feel so good, like. And I remember when I got off the bus in the square, the first person that came over to hug me was Marion, right. You know. Yeah. And
it was a nice moment.
It was a nice moment, like, you know, but the celebrations went on for a while. It's lucky we didn't win it, like, you know. We might be around now today, like, you know, but it's something I'll always remember, like, you know. It's not the fact that we got the television, it was the fact that we got to the final.
John, we're going to hear another piece of audio from another friend of yours.
Okay.
Hi, John. It's great to know that you're on with Lloyd tonight. I'm delighted that you're able to do it, because you were an outstanding man. Thanks down through the years for all the great work you done and acting with the parades. It was really a treat. And you know, there was a couple of friends of mine down from Dublin, and they said you were only wasting your time. You should be in Hollywood. It's great the way the late Jimmy Rabbit, you brought Jimmy out with the hands up, and the great crack and how much the whole crowd enjoyed it. And of course the great drawing with the westerns and that. And then you had Freddie Mercury, yourself, and Jennifer Dunn. Anything you done, John, you were top class. I know you went through your sadness too in losing Mary. And just like yourself loving Mary, I was the very same with her, because she was a pure lady and she's still looking over you. Very best of luck, John. Give it hell tonight. Yourself and Lion and Barry would say, what can I do? What can I say? But you're a great one, John. God bless you.
Bertie, thanks a lot, man. That's nice, very nice to hear. Yeah. Bertie was very good friends, and I remember...
this was the acting during the parades.
Absolutely, yeah. We done he mentioned Jennifer Dunn there. Yeah, that was a good one that we done Barcelona with Freddie Mercury and myself and Jennifer. Like, you know, we done a fierce hour rehearsing up at the house for that.
What about shooting?
Jeez, yeah. Lord be good to him. Yeah, I was just talking about it the other day. Yeah, it was a shootout scene we done in the square, and Catch was my rival. I was a cowboy and he was in. We were 2 cowboys, I think. Got his guns now. We never had used them before, and even up to doing rehearsals or anything, we hadn't used them, like, you know. The freaking gun wouldn't go off for me the first time I went to do the shootout in the square anyhow, and we done the shootout and I shot Catch down and he was still a little bit alive, so I walked over in my John Wayne walk. I put the gun to the side of the head, not pointing at his face or anything like that, but just to the side, onto the ground, and I shot him to make sure, and he went limp on the ground. So I met him the next day the next day in Dermot-Kenny's. He was up getting the paper up at one end and I was down near the street end, and I just shouted, well, Catch, that went well yesterday. And he just looked at me and I looked at, what you think of yesterday, Catch? And he still didn't respond to me, Lloyd. And I said, what the hell, did I say something wrong to him or do something to him? So I went up to him anyhow and I said, what do you think of yesterday? Feck you anyhow, said he, low. Feckin' different this year since you shoot that gun at me. I couldn't hear a thing for the whole evening. So, but the problem Barry Flynn and Bertie had with me is I wouldn't listen to the directions. Like, you know, if they told me to go up the street, I'd go down the street. You know, and Barry said, "I give up on him. Let him do his own thing because he's not going to listen to it." You know, but yeah.
Bertie mentioned your late wife Mary, John.
Yeah.
Where did you meet?
I was unemployed at the time, Lloyd, and I wanted something to do. Tommy Dolan was alive at the time, Lord be good to him, and I went down to him and I said to him, you're on the educational board in Offaly County Council. Can you see in Tullamore if there's any Irish courses going? Brought into the VC offices, and I met this lady by the name of Mairead Wren. She was the chief officer, and she said, would you go back to school? And I laughed at her. No, say no, thank you. Listen, go back for a while and see what you think of it.
That was a big thing to go back, wasn't it?
It was. I didn't think of it that way, Lloyd. It was something to do, first of all. Like, I was nervous about it, Lloyd. I remember the first morning, I went for the bus that morning. I didn't know absolutely no one, and I was standing there, and admitted it was very nerve-wracking. Like, the fact that you were going back to school and the fact that you didn't know anyone. But this lady came over to me then, and she said to me, "Is this your first day?" So yeah. She said, "I experienced that about a month ago. It's very hard." She said, "Stay with me in the bus and you'll be a grand." And this was Mary at the time, and I got to know her, and we used to sit in the bus together, and we'd do their homework together in the school and things like that. And
that was the start of a beautiful relationship.
Yeah.
Did you get married long after that, John?
I think it was about 9-10 years before we got married. Like, we were together for a good while before we got married. Like, but so
a soulmate, John, would you say?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I was lucky that I had that amount of time with Mary. Like, she was. I was in a bad shape at that particular time in my life. I was lucky enough then to meet Mary, and she put me on the right path, Lloyd, and as well as that, she gave me a ready-made family.
Right.
I had 2 lovely stepdaughters. I had, when I say had, unfortunately, Fiona passed away about 2 years ago. She was a lovely girl, and she had a beautiful granddaughter called Katie. Katie's a beautiful, beautiful girl, so she is, and her husband is a great man too, Seamus MacDonald. I have Una left. Una is a nurse, so she is. And Una has a lovely granddaughter as well. Her name is Grace. I got a ready-made family, and 2 of the best girls. And I must say, my granddaughter now, my stepdaughter, I should say, Una, she's so good to me. And it keeps the association with Mary.
Right.
But she supported me, any of these gigs or anything like that. She was proud of me. And she always made sure it was right. I had the right costumes and things like that. If something needed to be sewn or anything
Looked
like
after you.
Absolutely, yeah. And
it's nice
you know what I mean.
John, you're down in the resource centre now.
I went down one day, Lloyd. It's about 10, maybe 12 years ago. To get a form. Now, I actually, I have to be honest, I didn't know what went on in the resource centre, but I was looking for a particular form. Don't ask me what type of a form it was. Someone told me, go down to the resource centre, they're sure to have them. I met Liz Fleming. She asked me, she called me, now what she asked me to do or get involved in, I do not know. Now, that's 10 or 12 years ago.
Right.
And I haven't left it since that.
I had a nice little message from Liz, actually.
Okay, Liz.
Almost every conversation with John always ends in a laugh. John has always been working with people in Clara. John is a network of our community. John links, weaves and bridges the community in Clara with a brilliant sense of humour, kindness and attention to those around him. If he notices a young person that enjoys performing, he will encourage them to perform in the St. Patrick's Day Parade. John has a phenomenal ability of bringing the best out in those around him while trusting the strength of the community to do so. The work John does in the Resource Centre has to be acknowledged. He's here for all 5 summer camps, youth clubs, intergeneration programme, children's Christmas parties and everything in between. John works voluntarily several days a week to keep the shop up and running. That benefits entirely for the people of Clara. Whatever John does, it has a subtle ripple effect in our community. Sure, he only came in the centre looking for a form one day and he still hasn't found a door. That's nice, John.
Yeah, that's nice. Thanks, Liz. Thanks a lot. Yeah, Liz, yes, I got on very well with Liz. There are a great bunch of people down there, Liz is there, Sinead, Rose Toohey, Alice, Sheena and Pat Kelly. And then you had the gang, there's a gang in the shop. I have to mention them, Lloyd, if you don't mind. There's Una, Anna, Lisa, Jackie, Rosie, Gary and Liz Cuskley as well. It's like a family down there, I love it down there, and
I'm looking forward to having them on in a few weeks' time.
That's great,
Tell us about more what they do down there.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things. Okay, you have the resource shop, you have activists. Now, as you'll appreciate, there's a lot of things limited and curtailed now as to what they can do, But it's a great amenity in the town. As Liz said there in her piece, you have Inspire Group, just people, girls and men get together to do creative arts and things like that. You have the men's shed down there as well. You have active retirement. We had the summer camps, and I have to mention Sinead at this point. We had the summer camps. Normally we'd have the summer camps inside, for the kids, different age groups and things like that. But unfortunately this year, due to the COVID, we couldn't do that. So what we done is, what Sinead organised, is that we went to various housing estates with our equipment, with different games, skittles, egg and spoon race, all the different games. We just went and knocked at the house and said, look guys, we're going to be out here for the next 2 hours. If the kids are there, if they want to come out and play. So the kids that were actually there were the kids that were normally playing together on their own, like, and we go to a different house in the state then the following day, because kids had a bad time, were having a bad time, like, you know, and they were getting peed off that there was nothing for them to do, so it was just good for them, like.
Sadly, we're running out of time. Time is upon us. We might have to come back for a part 2 or a part 3. I know we're probably leaving out some stuff, but I'd like to do a quick fire round, John. Okay, you might have heard it on the other podcasts.
Yeah,
I hope you've been listening in now.
Oh yeah,
Don't just tell me that.
No, but what do you win, Lloyd?
It'll be revealed at the end. I'm going to have an adjudicated panel.
Okay.
Right, John, are you ready for the quick fire round?
Yeah, get a drink out of that. Good.
Here we go. What actor would play you in a film?
Liam Neeson.
First thing you'd buy if you won the lotto?
A cottage on the Aran Islands.
Drama or comedy?
Comedy.
Best thing about Clara?
The people and the atmosphere.
If you could erect a statue in Clara, of what or who would it be?
J-Lo. That's Jennifer Lopez.
First movie you've ever seen?
Backdraft, I think it was.
Fair City or Glen Road?
None of them.
If you had a stage name, what would it be?
The Chancer.
Robert De Niro or Daniel Day-Lewis?
Daniel Day-Lewis.
And the last one, John, the first person you'd thank after winning an Academy Award?
I'd have to thank my wife up in heaven.
That's lovely, John.
That's it.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
John, advice for the younger generation, briefly, if you had any?
You heard this before, people saying there's not enough things in Clara and there's nothing to do in Clara, like, you know, there's plenty to do. Unfortunately, we're restricted now at this time, but like, there's plenty of activities down in the resource centre. There's plenty of organisations in Clara. There's no lack of organisations. You have the GAA, you know, you have...
So get involved.
Get involved, like, you know, I love being involved in things, like, you know, and... That's the way it goes, like,
Thanks,
you know.
John, have you any regrets in life?
That I didn't get a longer lifespan with my wife, that I didn't have more time to spend with my wife, and that Fiona's not around and Marion's not around. It would have been a good family. But having said that, I was lucky with what I got. Yeah. And I have to thank God I was lucky in that respect, you know.
Thanks, John. Nice word.
If I might say something, Lloyd, and I think it's an honour, and I want to say that it's an honour for me that you've dedicated this podcast to John, who's recently departed, and may I offer myself to yourself, Lloyd, to Celine, to Marie as well, I've had the pleasure of meeting, and to all your family, my deepest sympathy to you all.
Thank you, John.
On your bereavement.
Thank you very much.
And thanks again, Lloyd.
John would have loved this podcast because it was a bit of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. He could have been sitting beside me.
Absolutely,
you know.
John, it was a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Please keep up all the work you do for Clara and the community. It's fantastic. Yeah. And I look forward for you keeping also thanking me in your Academy Award as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But keep up. You deserve an award, so you do, Lloyd.
Thanks, John.
Take care, Lloyd.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
This podcast is brought to you by Midland Saxon Covers, Clara, County Offaly. We make custom covers for any requirement or project. Screen printing service is also available. Find us at midlandsaxoncovers.ie.
You just listened to What's the Story with Lloyd Bracken. Check out all our social channels for info on new episodes. Oh, and thanks for listening. On the Town.